Hello everyone, welcome back to PommyInOz. I hope we're all doing really well. I hope we're enjoying another week. It's a week before the granny. I'm feeling like rougher than my Auntie Mavis, and she used to smoke 2 packs a day today, so I thought we'd do something a bit different. And I thought everyone's wheeling out their end of year awards and stuff like that. I thought, let's do something I'm passionate about. Well, let's throw a couple of things I'm passionate about. 1, I love stats, and 2, I love chance. And obviously, I love Carlton, we know that. So, we're going to do the end of season awards a little bit different. We're going to put it to chance. We've created a bracket of all the players who have played this year. And we've given them a little bit of a ranking, a rating about how their years have gone on versus their averages, etc. We've created a ladder. And then we're going to compete them in a best of 3 randomised stat versus each other. So it's going to be like a best of 3, kind of like top trumps, if you remember that as a kid. Might be a Pom thing. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So here is the ladder. So as you can see, we've got a few pre-qualifying to make it into a fair bracket. So we're going to have Levi Caspell versus SPS. Jack Noons, Lockie O'Brien, Kemp versus Cottrell, Durden, Gibbons, Murphy, Mcdonald, Fisher, Satterfield, Parks, McGovern, and obviously number 1 seed there, Sammy Walsh, is the man to beat. So let's get into it. So the first battle is going to be Mr. Levi Caspell versus SPS. So let's have a look at what the first stat will be. So this is what we've got. We've got disposals, kicks, handballs, marks, goals, behinds, goal assists, score involvement, pressure acts, inside 50s, rebound 50s, tackles inside 50, clearances, stoppage clearances, hit out, clangers, so that'll be the lowest, 1%ers, contested posies, disposal efficiency, meters gained, intercepts, marks inside 50, and their TPI rating, which is out of 100. So let's go and see what we get. So here we go, first cab off the rank in this fixture. It's going to be contested possession, so let's have a look at it. We got Levi versus SPS. So contested possessions, Levi Caspell, 4.8 contested possessions for Mr. Levi this year. 4.4, so that is 1 up Levi Caspell. Let's see the second one. Oh, it's hit outs, and we know for facts there with the hit outs that 0 for Sam Petrescu-Seaton. So Levi goes through to that one 2-0. So Levi will go through and he will play Sam Walsh in the next round. So the next game we've got is Jack Noons versus Lockie O'Brien. So let's have a look what stats we've got here. Should be a bout of this one though, shouldn't it? Because very similar players. We've got stoppage clearances. Stoppage clearances for these two. So let's have a look. So stoppage clearances. Jack Noons has 1.3 a game, where Lockie O'Brien has 0.4. So that is 1-0. Jack Noons. Let's have a look at what the second is. Can Lockie O'Brien hit back? Goal assists. Interesting. So, let's have a look. Goal assists, 0.8 for Lockie O'Brien. Can he do it? 0.1 for Jack Noons. So it's 1-1 onto the decider. Exciting times. It's 1%ers. So at 1-0 to decide this one. 1.4 for Jack Noons. And just 1. So Jack Noons goes through to the main rounds. He'll play Patrick Cripps, which will be an exciting tie. Next, we've got Brody Kemp versus Matty Cottrell. So one guy at the beginning of his career, one person maybe who hasn't got the necessary kudos he probably deserves. He does work hard, does Matty Cottrell. Let's see how these two get on. The first stat, and I think this is going to be really important. Like all of them, it's going to come down to what stat you get. So we've got clangers. So this is going to be the lowest, remember. So the least amount of errors, basically, for want of a better term. Let's have a look. Averaging 3 a game, Brody Kemp, which is quite high. Let's have a look. 2.9. So Cottrell sneaks that one. Just sneaks that one. So Cottrell 1 up in the first battle. Now we've got 1%. Is it 1%ers or contested? Contested. So contested possessions, 0.5 for Brody Kemp and 3.6 for Cottrell. So Cottrell will go through 2-0. Huge for him, and he will play Liam Jones in the next one, which an interesting battle that, to say the least. Then we have Durden versus Gibbons to enter the main draw. This is a bit of an exciting one, and both of these are kind of like for like, aren't they? Play across the half forward in the pockets, play in the forward line. So it's going to be interesting. Interesting. Real interesting. So let's have a look at goal assists. So Mr. Durden, what do you have on the goal assist chart? He has 1 goal assist a game. So that's fairly a good chance, and he's gone up there with the limited amount of game time. So he's 1-0 up. Durden takes the lead early, my boy. I love a bit of the Durds. Next, we've got meters gained is the stat we're looking at. That's tough. So Durden, 67.7 for him. 258 for Gibbons. So it's 1-1. So it's 1-1 now going into the decider. So let's have a look. We're going to have tackles. Great separate measure there. A great separating measure. So 2 a game for Corey Durden. 2.5 for Gibbons. So Gibbons goes through into the next round. How exciting is that? So Gibbons will play Wheatering. So he wins that one 2-1. Now we've got Mark Murphy versus Oscar Mcdonald. So Mark Murphy, probably, I'd say one of the smokies for this one. Got a weird one because there's a few stats here, especially these two guys here, that, you know, really could be huge separators from the positions they play. So let's have a look what the first separating measure is going to be. It's going to be rebound 50s. So that is an interesting one. Advantage Mark Murphy, you would say. Let's have a look. So rebound 50s. 0.5 for Mark Murphy, but 0 for Oscar Mcdonald. Now, Mark takes the lead, and it's interesting that as well, because you would have said if Mcdonald had played a bit more down the back, he was deployed as a forward, it would help. Next is stoppage clearances. You would say Mark Murphy a shoe-in here, and he is 0 for that. So Mark Murphy will go in. So Shannon and Terry, they'll be very happy with this. Mark Murphy romps home to the next round, and he'll play Adam Sard. Next is Zach Fisher and Will Setterfield in the qualifier. So this is an interesting battle between these two. Both players, you would say, bit of a disappointing year this year, fair to say. Let's have a look how they get on. So the first separator for these two, it's going to be interesting. The randomizer pops up, and it is tackles. Now this should be a very interesting exercise. Will Setterfield, 2.1 a game. 2.4, so the big fish, 1-0 up. Very even then. The stats, just looking at them, very even. So hit-outs came up. Now, I believe neither of these have hit-outs. So we'll go with the rule that it's whatever's below it. That is the TPI indicator. So I can tell you that Will Setterfield has a 46.7 rating versus 39.7. So his numbers combined are better. So 1-0. So now the decider. The decider is Mark's inside 50. It's going to be interesting, is it? 0.3 for Will Setterfield, but taking it out, Zach Fisher, 2-1. He goes into the next round, and he will face Harry Mackay. And the final battle we've got is a really exciting one here. Parks versus McGovern. So, guys who played polar ends of the ground. Both didn't really get a big run at it. Both had their injuries when they started to show a little bit. In Mitch McGovern's case, just turned up and got injured. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? So let's have a look how this one goes. So we've got hit-outs. If they've both got 0 hit-outs each, which I believe they do, we will go to disposals. So disposals, 11.2 for Mitch McGovern, 7.5 for Luke Parks. So it's even. It's 1 for Mitch McGovern. Let's have a look what comes up next. Oh, tackles inside 50. What a heartbreak for Parks. I don't think Parks even saw the ground. 0 we know for him. 0.6 for Mitch McGovern. Mitch McGovern, he's in. He's into the main draw. He'll play Jack Silvani in the next round. So we've got the first rounds locked away. So the first one we're going to do is Sam Walsh versus Levi Caspell. This should be, you'd say on paper, it's a foregone conclusion. But because we are doing random stats, it could go either way. So let's have a look. So the first stat we're going to look at for these two big boys of the comp is 1%ers. Who has the most 1%ers out of these two? I mean, I'm off the top of my head, I'd say it's a foregone here because Levi plays that tough role. Let's have a look. 0.8 for Walshy, 2 for Caspell. Caspell takes the surprise lead in this. Oof, tell you what, and this is just it. Inside 50s, you would say, without even checking, Walsh should blitz this. His inside 50 count, 3.9 a game, 1.2. It's 1-0. Tell you what, who you'd be thinking Hitouts wants to come up here, but we've got goals. This will be interesting. 0.5 for Walshy, but 0.6 just taking it out. The shock, it was close. 2-1. The favourite is out. How good is that? Controversial in the comments. A huge shock. But like we say, it's a randomizer. We're letting fate decide. Up next, we've got Owies versus Plowman. So this again, interesting when you've got two polar opposites because it's tough. Now, from memory, neither of these have hitouts, so we will go with disposals, as it was close to that. 11.5 for Plowman, 8.8, so Lockie Plowman, 1-0 up. Let's have a look what Owies can get. Pressure Axe favours. Should favour a little bit of Owies. He's got a chance to hit back there. 15.2 from Owies. 7.5, so it's 1-0. Interesting, the decider here to go on and face Caspell is, it's behind. Owies might get through here, should do. 1.3 for Owies. And I can't remember a behind coming from him. No, we haven't. So Owies goes through 2-1. What a performance from Matty Owies. Then we have two of my favourites, Jack Martin versus Charlie Kerner. So this should be a really intriguing fixture. Let's have a look. We've got kicks. Interesting. You would say probably Jack Martin odds-on favourite here. 8.5 for him. 8.8. Kerner takes an early lead. What an effort. It's going to be interesting. Oh, tackles inside 50. Remember, we're going AFL averages on this one. Tackles inside 50. Jack Martin, his tackles inside 50 at 0.6. It's beatable. 0.8. Charlie Kerner through to the next round with a canter. So Doc versus Honey. Real interesting battle this between Josh Honey and Doherty. Let's have a look. Inside 50s come up first. Intriguing. Is it not? What an interesting exercise this is as well. I've got to say, I'm having lots of fun with this. Inside 50s. It's going to be interesting. So inside 50s, 2.1 for Mr. Doherty. 1.6. So Doc is ahead. Decider, can we get a fight back from Josh Honey? Marks inside 50 would help him. It is Marks inside 50. Marks inside 50, obviously none for Sam Doherty. And obviously 1.2 for Honey, 1-0. So this is the decider. Who do we get in this top trumps? It's the TPI score, and I can tell you, unfortunately for Honey, he's miles ahead Sam Doherty. So Sam Doherty wins 2-1. He will face another idol in Charlie Kerner. That'll be an interesting third rounder. Now we've got Cripps versus the prelim winner in Noons. So what a guy whose draws really opened up with Walsh going out. It'll be interesting to see. Let's have a look. We've got, is it rebounds or tackles? Rebound 50s. So that's going to be interesting because we know he gets a few cosy ones, does Noons. 0.6 for Cripper. Jack Noons, 1.5. Jack Noons is ahead. Could we have another shock with just how the wheel goes? Meters gained. Oh, Cripper. Cripper's going to 250.7. 258. Noons is through. What a shock. Noons goes through into the next round. We could have a surprise winner here. Next, we've got Stocker versus Pitterner. So, really, it's David versus Goliath. Come on, Stock. I love both of these kids as well. But let's see if we can get one from Stocker. It's going to be goals, which is going to be interesting. The goals is the measurement for this. Now, we know Stocker did famously score, but it's only 0.1 as an average. 0.4. Pitterner, on the day of his 2-year contract, takes the early lead. Let's have a look. Interesting. We've got Marks. That's going to be an interesting one. 3.4 for Liam Stocker. 2. So it's 1-0. Stocker right back in this. He's going to enjoy taking some of them calm, controlled ones at the end. And we've got behinds. 0.1 for Stocker. 0.4 again for Mr. Pitternet. Pitternet goes through 2-1. And interesting, 2-year deal. He wins that one 2-1. Now we've got Liam Jonesy versus Matty Cottrell. This should be a really interesting one. Cotters, we know, came through in the little pre-qualification games. So let's see what we've got in this instalment. We've got handballs. Very interesting. Both of these players, you wouldn't say are huge handballers of the ball. 2.2 for Liam Jones. 3.4 for Cottrell. Cottrell takes the early lead. But I can see there's a lot for this. Now, Marks, that'll help Jones out without looking. You know Jones, he's got this, but we will confirm the numbers. 5.5 for Liam Jones. Not a bad effort. 2.6 from Cottrell. So this is the decider. And it intercepts again. Another one that you would expect to see. And you kind of know that he's miles ahead. 8.4 intercept possessions for Jones versus 3.2. It's a win for the legend that is Liam Jones. Liam Jones, one of the favourites. He goes through to the next round. Now we've got Nick Newman versus Tom Williamson. This will be an interesting, really an interesting little battle, I think, between these two. And we've got TPI comes out. So let's have a look at the player rating system. Tom Williamson, 44.2 versus 65. Yep, so Nick Newman wins that one. Nick Newman, 1-0 up. Pressure acts, that's going to be interesting. We know both of these are there to put pressure on the player. So 11.5 for Mr. Williamson, and Newman 12.1, so he goes through into the next round. He will play Liam Jones in what will be a real nail biter. Now we've got Wheatering versus Mickey Gibbons. This should be a very interesting one. Now you would say Wheatering, I've got to say this is probably harsher, some of this criteria on your backman. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can get out of this Jacob Wheatering. So off we go. And we've got, marks, it helps Wheaters out. 7.6 versus 3.5. Wheaters is 1-0 up. And disposals, again, I would say that this favours the legend that is Wheatering. And it does 16.4 versus 14.2. It's a win for Jacob Wheatering. What an effort from Jacob. He's in. And he will play the winner of Eddie Betts, who has retired. Can Eddie leave with another ceremonial trophy, let's say, from the fans? Let's have a look. So the first one we've got is disposals. Now we know Eddie Betts isn't a prolific ball getter, so it should favour 15.4 versus 9.5. Fogg, the new kid, is ahead 1-0. Goal assists, interesting. Well, we know Eddie Betts does like to provide a goal assist, and he takes that one out, 0.7 to 0.4. Interesting, 1-1, the decider. Which of these two great guys can go through? And it's TPI, so I can say it's a 59.8 for Betts. And it's a 59.2. Just over the line this year. That means that Eddie Betts does go through to the next round by virtue. Tough. Wheatering versus Betts, what a round. And then we've got Adam Sard, Mark Murphy. So the people's hero, another retiree. Can the retirees put a bit of pressure on some of these youngsters? Be interesting. The first one we've got is meters gained, and it's 436.9 for Sard. He takes it out versus 209.4. So Adam Sard, 1 up in this round. It's disposals, and disposals 19.3 versus 13.6. Unfortunately, Mark Murphy bows out. Adam Sard steamrolls to the next round, where he'll play the winner of this one, Ed Kerner versus David Cunningham. This should be a ripper. So let's have a look at the first stat we're going to fight against. So the first stat is none other than pressure acts. So let's have a look. So David Cunningham, 11.8 pressure acts for Mr. Cunningham. 15.3 though, no surprise, for Ed Kerner. Ed Kerner early, 1-0 up. And then we go real clearances. So this is total clearances, remember. Real clearances. So that is 1.5 versus 3.1. Ed Kerner goes through to the next round. And Ed, probably one of the most underrated footballers on Carlton's list, is into the next round. Then we've got Harry, Big Har, versus Zach Fisher. This should be an intriguing. The reigning Coleman. Can he continue his winning form? And this is going to be an interesting one. Disposal efficiency. 64.9 versus 67.9. Zach Fisher, he sneaks it. He sneaks it. Interesting. We might see Harry go here. Tackles. 1.4 with 2. Zach Fisher 2.4. He kills it, and it just shows you that wheel is so important. Now we've got TDK, Big Zach Williams. This would be huge. Huge contest between these two. Oh, behinds for both of these. 0.3. Both on 0.3, but one less game played makes his average better, and that is Tom DeCunningham. So Tom DeCunningham is 1-0 up in this one. Tell you what, if hitouts come out here, it's game over. We've got goal assist. That is interesting. That will be 0.4. Zach Williams versus 0.1. Help Zach Williams out. More of a midfield number. It's going to be interesting here. What have we got? Oof. Meters gained. Meters gained. Being deployed on the halfback flank should give him a huge advantage. And he does. 138.9. 4273. A bit of payback there for Zach Williams. He's on the big money. Big boy meters gained. He goes through to the third round. Now we've got the People's Champion, JSauce versus Mitch McGovern. Third, being deployed to that third toe. I'd say Jack a lot more versatile. Doing it for the Sauce name as well. Let's have a look. Tackles inside 50 comes out first. Now we know Jack loves a tackle inside 50. 0.9 to 0.6. It is 1-0 up Jack. JSauce takes the lead. It's going to be interesting, this. And TPI pops up. Interesting, because Jack has got a game that does it. At the moment, he's rated as a 68.7. Disappointing year. So Jack for 48 for Mitch. So Jack goes through. Jack Silvani into the next round. Splendid. Now we've got a great battle. We've got Matty Kennedy, who in my opinion, one of the underrated performers this year for Carlton Football Club, versus Paddy Dow. So we've got two high prize draft picks here. Both of them top 20 talents. Obviously we know pick 3, pick 13 versus here. Let's have a look what separates these two. This, I won't begrudge either a victory here. We've got intercept possessions up first. That should be very interesting. Intercept possessions 2.3 versus 1.3. It's a 1-0 Matty Kennedy. Oh, we got kicks. We've got kicks as the settler. 11.5 for Kennedy, 5.9 for Dow. And into this concludes the second round. Matt Kennedy is in. So let's have a quick look at Caspell, Owies, Kerner, Doc, Noons, Pitternet, Jones, Newman, Wheater in Betts, Sard, Kerner, Fisher, the Battle of the Zacks, Fisher, Williams, Jack Silvani and Matty Kennedy. So let's go into it. Levi versus Matty Owies. This should be an absolute brilliant battle. We are best of 3. Remember, the first stat separating these two is contested possessions. Matty Owies versus the legend that is 4.7, 3.6. Levi goes 1-0 up. Levi, he's not the favourite out. And it's going to be behinds. Interesting. 1.3 for Owies versus 0.4. It's 1-1. This is the decider. The decider of it all. It's going to be... Well, we've had a lot of kicks. I think that's the first handball that's popped up. Handballs. 3.5 for Owies. 2.1. Levi goes out. Matty Owies into the final 8, really. Final 8, which will be exciting. Then we've got Kerner, my boy, versus my other boy, Sam Doherty. This should be a great battle. Meters gained should be a walkover, that, for Sam Doherty. And it is 493.6 versus 301.95. It's easy when you're off the halfback flank, it has to be said. 1%ers. 2.1 for Sam. 0.8. Doc goes through. The co-captain at this stage goes through, knocks out my boy Charlie. He's in to the final 8. So Jackie Noons versus Mark Kerner. Who's going to join the guys we've got there already? It's handballs up first. That is interesting because we know that both of these guys probably handball the same, and the stats say 6.5 to Noons, 6.2 to Kerner. The Mr. Versatility himself takes the lead. Jack Noons, 1-0 up. We've got hit-outs. Have we though? Yeah, we've got hit-outs. So there we are. That is 1-all. 29.2 plays nothing. The Ruckman stat. All down to 1%ers. 3.3. Playing 1.4. Pitternet goes through. Pitternet is into the next round and he just can't stop winning. He's into that final 8. What an effort for him. So Liam Jones versus Nick Newman. And now this should be an entertaining one. I'm looking forward to this one. And the first one we've got is disposal efficiency. So that's the percentage, remember. Let's have a look. Disposal efficiency, 73.9 for Jones, 81.1. Very high from Nick Newman. Nick Newman, 1-0 up. Tell you what, behinds will help Liam Jones because he's had one. It's goals though. It's goals. And I don't think either of these kicked anything. So we will go to behinds. And goes through. By courtesy of playing less games, his percentage was higher. Liam Jones goes out. Nick Newman goes into it. Now we've got probably 2 heroes of the Carlton faithful. We've got Jacob Wheatering versus Eddie Betts. This should be a great one. These are really good as well when it's just so fluxed between them. I'm excited about this one. So we've got first cab off the rank. Tackles inside 50. Really 100% that's going to be Eddie. We will just confirm it like we have every other one. And it is, yeah, 0.9 versus 0. Eddie Betts takes the lead here. Tell you what, Wheatering's done very well, though. These key defenders, it's a tough gig. But let's have a look. Meters gained should be a huge win for Jacob Wheatering. Meters gained. 323.3 versus 130 for, yeah. Huge win for Wheatering. 1-all, so it all comes down to this. Jacob, come on, Jacob. Come on, Jacob. It's a stoppage clearance. Both of them don't attend the majority of them. 0.5, 0.2. Eddie Betts, he snuck in. What an effort from Eddie. Adam Sard now versus Ed Kerner. A great little mix-up this. I'm looking forward to this one. Let's have a look. Adam Sard's handballs come up first. Both of these do like getting into the link-up play, don't they? 8.1 for Ed, 5.1 for Adam. 1-0 Ed. Mr. Consistency. Oh, rebound 50s. It should be a big dub for the Adam Sard. And it is 4.4, 1.3. Tell you what, Adam Sard would love meters going to pop up here. And I love Adam Sard. I love both of these footballers. It's, ooh, contested possessions. Will Ed suffer from just having a little bit more forward time? 7.5 Ed, 5.3 into the next round. Ed Kerner, Mr. Consistency. Now the Battle of the Zacks. This should be a very entertaining game. Both of these, Zach Williams and Zach Williams, both of them are very, very exciting players, and we're going to have intercept possessions. Now, both of these do pop up with the occasional intercept possession, it has to be said. 5.2, though, for Zach Williams versus 1.5. That benefit of playing down the back, helping Williams there. Williams 1-0 up. And it's pressure acts. Pressure acts for both of these. Now, we know that Zach Williams did start flying with his pressure acts, but you never know. Let's have a look. So Zach Fisher, the benchmark, 16.4. I was going to say, I know he is crafty when he does it. 11.1. It is all square going down to this. What is going to come out? We've got goal assists. Interesting. Interesting. Which of these has been the provider more? 0.4, 0.9 in favour of Zach Fisher. Zach Fisher into the final 8. Now, Jack Silvani versus Matty Kennedy. Both of these workhorses. And it's what you like to see. I've got to say, you've got to love to see this at this level. It's tackles inside 50. Now, that is Jack's bread and butter. And I would expect to see Jack win this in a decent way. 0.9 versus 0.6. He does win it. I was going to say he bound 50s. It helps Matty Kennedy get back into this, doesn't it? 1.1 versus 0.3. All on this. All on this. And it's tackles. Tell you what, both of these are workhorses, like we said. 4.5, 2.5. Matty Kennedy continues the love train. And he knocks out fan favourite Owies versus the legend that is Sam Doherty. Tackles inside 50. It will give advantage to Matty Owies. And it does. 1.2 versus 0.1. Could Owies continue the remarkable run? He has had a good year as well. So it's going to be clangers. Whoever has the less clangers will get through in this case. 1.2 versus 2.6. Going in with a clean sweep. Matty Owies. What a performance in Stat Roulette. Now we've got Pitternet versus Newman. Nick Newman, one of these guys that just goes under the radar, but very solid footballer. Let's have a look what happens here. We've got handballs. Again, you would favour the legend that is Pitternet here. Just with he's been a ruckman, but he handball genuinely a lot. 6.2 for Pitternet versus 5.4. We know Newman's kicked first. Pitternet takes the lead. So let's have a look what's up next. Goal assists. That is interesting. 0.3 for Nick Newman. 0.2 for Pitternet. It all comes down to this. 1-0. 1-0. Stoppage clearances. It throws Nick Newman a bone because he has attended a few, but you would expect Pitternet to win this. 2.5 for Pitternet. 0.2. Pitternet goes through 2-1, and he is in the semi-finals. Eddie Betts versus Ed Kerner. The two Eds. One's left, one's just re-signed. This should be a very entertaining battle. Let's have a look how we get on. And it is clangers to go first. So the least mistakes. Who has had the least mistakes? 3.1 for Ed, 1.9. Eddie Betts takes the early lead. 1-0. Eddie would love goals to come out here, wouldn't he? It's marks, total marks. Now, we do know that both of these do crop up with a decent amount of marks, 2.2, but Ed Kerner, 4.8. It's all down to this. All down to this. And it should favour Ed Kerner. Rebound 50s. Eddie doesn't really get that end of the ground. 0.3 versus 1.3. Congratulations to probably Mr. Carlton, you'd call him now, as Ed Kern is in the semis. The final semi is Zach Fisher versus Matty Kennedy. It's intercept possessions. Now, you would expect Matty Kennedy to walk away with this one. And he does. 2.3 playing 1.5. Matty Kennedy, 1-0 up. Matt Kennedy would love a midfield number to come up here. Love a midfield number. Is he going to be scoring involvements or goals? It's goal assists. Oh dear. 0.1 to 0.9. It's 1-0. Fisher takes that one out with ease. This is it. Oh, it's marks. It's max 5 for Kennedy, only 2.3. The semis are made up now. Matt Kennedy goes through into the semi-finals. So the semi-finals is always Pitternet, Kerner and Kennedy. What a surprise. What a surprise. So the first semi-final, Matty O's versus Pitternet. Let's see who it is. Stat Roulette. 1%ers. Now that is, usually your ruckmen do score high in this avenue of stats. And they do. 3.3, 0.8, 1-0 Pitternet. 1-0 Pitternet. Tell you what, hit-outs come here. Pitternet sneaks there. Is it going to be tackles inside 50? Oh, it's total tackles. 2.1 to 2.9. O's fights back, tackles back, you could say. 1-0. Now we know it's goals here. You would say it favours 1.1 for O's, 0.4 into the final. Matty O's. Now Ed Kerner versus Matt Kennedy. This should be a great battle. A great battle. And we've got behinds for the first one. This should be entertaining. 0.2 for Kennedy, 0.1 for Kerner. 1-0 Kennedy. It's been very surprising this. We've got meters gained. Oh. Meters gained. That is a great separator for these two. 300.9 for Kennedy, but 356.3. It's all going to come down to this. And it's clearances. Clearances. Both of these had their midfield time and then didn't. 3.1 for Ed. But going through to the final with 3.4, Matty Kennedy. And here's the final. Matt Kennedy versus Matty O's. Let's have a look. The first cab off the rank. Tackles inside 50. Now we know that this is favouring Matty O's. 1.2 versus 0.6. O's takes the lead. Now TPI. That is a great settler. And TPI, I can tell you that O's is 40.7 and Kennedy is 68. Yeah, 68.2. 1-0. The winner is going to be decided by this. And it's kicks. 5.3 for O's. But the winner of this year's champion of Carlton, Matty Kennedy. He takes it out. He is the main man to beat for next year. Matty Kennedy takes it out. He is the winner in this stat roulette. Let me know what you think. Has that surprised you? I thought it was pretty good. I think he's a worthy winner. He probably will be in the top 5 BNF, I would say. He takes it out though on stat roulette. What did you think of it? Was it good fun? Did you enjoy that video? Let me know in the comments. Till next time, Pom out.